welcome to our live webinar here today. We're going to have a great interview today with a successful medical revenue manager, Tim Warren, who's been through our training and has advanced right on up to the top of the ladder. I mean, the tip top of the ladder, as you'll see when we get going here. Never been on one of our webinars before. My name is Patrick Phillips. I'm the founder and CEO of American Business Systems. And as you can see, I'm also a member of the editorial board for Billing and Coding Advantage magazine. This is a print magazine. Yes, I actually have a copy of it right here. I think this is the latest version of it, latest edition. Anyway, it's on COVID-19, as you can see. This Billing and Coding magazine is a print magazine. There's over 40,000 subscribers, and I'm on the editorial board, and I write articles on that on a regular basis. You can also find some of my books out there on Amazon.com. How to Reprogram Yourself for Success. Then I've got that one in the middle there. You see that I co-authored with Dr. Vicki Ragnar, The New Thriving Medical Practice. This is a book that you'll be able to put your name on the front cover of, along with Dr. Vicki and myself, as a marketing tool. So we'll touch on that just a little bit later as well. And then there's one that I wrote a couple of years ago called Cash Crunch to Cash Flow, how to get more money faster into your professional practice or small business and plug the hidden leaks that are draining your profits. So, okay, so I see some other folks here that have actually typed something in the box there. Mahet says hello. Yes, I can hear you very clear. Rachel says hello. This is Rachel. Juliet, hello. And Trudy says she is in Midlothian, Virginia. Good. Well, thank you for joining us today. All right, let's see. Let me also tell you that I'm on the National Advisory Board of the MRMA, they call it, MRMA, M-R-M-A-A, the Medical Revenue Management Association of America. This is the organization that actually certifies you with a certificate once you've gone through our training on how to do medical billing for doctors and become revenue management managers. So that's what this is all about today, folks. If you haven't looked at our business, you might go to our website, absystems.com, and just check us out there. You're probably here because you went to that website and filled something out. We are the best business opportunity in the United States. That's because we have a cloud-based medical billing system and electronic medical records that you can introduce into a doctor's office and let them utilize the latest in technology to collect every penny that's due to them from the insurance companies and the government agencies. That's what we do. Again, doctors are in pain, so we certify you as a certified medical revenue manager. And once you've gone through our training, which is 8 modules, by the way, that's growing as we speak even. I think it's going to be going to 9 or 10 modules eventually. But the point is that this is some real good in-depth training to get your business off and running so you can own your own business and do business with doctors in your area. Folks, doctors are hurting right now. They need lots of help. And we have trained people from every walk of life, from every background, educational and otherwise, coast to coast. We've trained people on how to do this business and be very successful at it. And you're about to learn about one of those people here today. His name is Tim Warren. Here he is. Hey, Tim.
How you doing?
Great. I like that headset. Man, that sounds good.
Well, thank you.
You sound like somebody that ought to be on the radio. In fact, you have a face for radio. I don't know if anybody.
I have a face for radio. You have that correct.
Well, Tim, thanks for joining us. I know you're a very busy guy. I happen to know that because you handle a lot of the training and support nowadays for our licensees. But let's step back in time and talk about the time when you were looking into this business yourself. What was that, 8, 10 years ago?
Yeah, it was 2012, so we're coming into our 9th year now. I had already started another business in 2007, then 2008 happened, and I immediately started looking for things that were a little bit more insulated from the pressures of the economy. You know, the recession hit, and it was really tough, and I found you guys, and it took me until 2012 to find the right opportunity, and we've never looked back since then. I sold my other business and do this full time now.
Yeah, that's the story we get from so many people. As you know, Tim, I've probably interviewed over 100 of our licensees over the years. They're out there on our YouTube channel, these interviews, and a lot of them have that very same story that people started, went through the training, decided this was a good business for them to be in, and basically found out that we were for real. We've been doing
Mhm.
this for 26 years now, and so we've kind of got it figured out. It is a system,
It
and if
really
people
is.
follow the system, they can't help but be successful in it.
Right. I
So you
completely
were,
agree. Yeah, the the thing that was difficult for me was to understand because it all looks too good to be true. And when you guys took the time to walk me methodically through all the process and that sort of thing, it kind of made sense to me. And it worked out extremely well for us. My wife and I have been very fortunate and grew a very robust business.
I like that term because I've heard it a lot from people when I'm talking to folks about our business. Mr. Phillips, this is all sounds too good to be true. I mean,
Hmm.
it really does. When you first describe this to some people, they go, well, why isn't everybody in the world doing this? If they can work from home or anywhere in the world through the cloud, as long as they have an internet connection, why wouldn't people want to do this? Well, it's just like any business. Some people have an interest in, the medical field of working with doctors, and some would, that'd be the last thing they'd want to do. So we know it's not for everybody, but for the people who have gone through
Yeah.
the training, most of them were like you didn't have any background in the medical
No,
field, did you?
not
Your
at all.
wife?
None at
Yeah.
all. The I think the thing is that you just have to feel like you're an entrepreneur. You believe in yourself and you have the drive to succeed. And all the tools were there for us. And what we did not have as far as skills, we were supported by a really talented support group. And you guys got us over a lot of humps that we experienced along the way.
Yeah. Now, your wife, Robin, did she have any background in this medical field at all?
She had worked mostly as an executive admin assistant. She worked for a CEO of a surgery center, but I mean, all she did was, normal administrative work for that at a high level. But she didn't do anything in billing and that sort of thing. But frankly, wasn't even exposed to it in that career choice. When she left that, she went to work for Coca-Cola. There was a local bottler distributor here where we live, and she worked for an executive or a division VP for about 8 years and was doing basically the same thing. And then when we started our business in 2012, um, and we got a couple, she was helping me at night with claims and things like that. But by January of the next year, she was able to quit her job completely and come to work with me.
Oh, super. So you kind of got the business up and running, and then she joined you once the income was at the point where she could quit her own job, huh?
Well, I did the business development. I did the networking and the selling, and which it really wasn't really selling. It was more positioning myself as a trusted advisor, and someone who was a thought leader in a particular area. And that's really all there is to it. People want to do business with people who have confidence, the people that make them confident, and it's really that's all there really is to the selling proposition of it. And I started doing statewide conferences. I got an opportunity to do some public speaking, and that's when everything just exploded. I never could have done what we did if it hadn't been for her coming in full time, and she was awesome. She really threw herself into learning everything that she could about medical billing, and she's exceptional at it now. So
Yeah, you get good after a few years of doing it, don't you?
yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
and
all right.
after about a year or two, you think you've seen everything. There's always something new, but it's very once you develop a system internally for your workflow and that sort of thing. There's plenty of resources, and you don't. She kept asking me, "Do I need to go and get certified as a medical biller or a coder or something like that?" And it's like, no, you didn't have to. And within 6 months to a year, of doing it, she was as good as anybody that we run across. So,
Yeah. Yeah, you get good at something and do it enough, and you become the expert really amongst the
mhm,
people that you are talking with. I tell people, look, even going through our initial training module, you'll know more than 95% of all medical billing people or office managers out there.
mhm.
You'll be that knowledgeable just through our initial training. And then, as you know, Tim, after people have gone through those first 8, 12, 15 hours of training with our one-on-one instructors, then you have access to what, dozens and dozens of hours of training out there on our licensing website.
The licensing website, you kind of look at it like your initial training is your initial training. Those are all the 101 level courses, and that's the core education that you need to get. And then the LSS brings in all of this, like the 102, 103, 104 courses, and there's so much good video content and documentation that's downloadable that's on the LSS. It really provides you, and it's constantly being updated. There's new webinar content, that sort of thing that's coming along every month. So
Yeah, I'm going to throw a picture of that up on the screen because that is a key part of the support once people have
mhm,
gone through the training. Now, we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves here because I see questions coming in that are real basic. I assume way too much, Tim, when people are on these webinars that they know what our business is all about. Can you kind of summarize, I mean, literally within a minute or so, summarize to people what our business really entails, what you would be doing if they got involved in the business, and what you do, of course, running your business?
sure. Well, I mean, what the main thing is that when you start, you need to focus 100% on cultivating clients. You don't really have to know everything there is to know about medical billing, that sort of thing at that point in time. You just work really hard with the networking and with the business development and positioning yourself and setting your business up. And once you have all of that in place and you get your first client, then the software is a great tool to use. It has a lot of things that will guide you through the process of medical billing. It has some great scrubbing tools that will allow you to identify problems with claims. And that's really what it is that the reason doctors have a hard time getting paid is because they're making a lot of mistakes and there are coding errors and there are things like that. And the software does a really good job of identifying some of that stuff. Um, and so once you have it all scrubbed and correct all the claims, you can move it on to the insurance payers. You get the payments back from them, you post them up, and you send patients their statements. And without fail, every single client that we've had has grown their business significantly from what they were doing. There's a lot of billers out there that are not exceptional and don't pay a lot of attention to their business and detail and quality. That's all you really have to do. This is the greatest word of mouth business I've ever been in. Is like you focus on that first one and you develop a quality workflow. You develop a track record of having great skills to get them paid, and then they just start recommending you to all of their colleagues, and it's simple like that.
Yeah, when you think of it, doctors now, of course, can do their own billing. They sometimes have their own staff, their own software that they could do it with in their own office.
Yeah.
But the real advantage there is outsourcing it to someone like yourself who does it not just for that doctor, but maybe for several doctors. So you have this ongoing learning situation and keeping up with what's going on in the field. And you can collect a whole lot more money than the doctors can themselves
Well,
normally.
that's all that we're focused on. We're focused on getting those claims paid and that sort of thing. The doctor, once they see the patient, they create the claim and shove it over to you for review and submission. Um, they don't want to have to follow up on that stuff. They don't know how to follow up on that stuff. Regulations change so quickly, they can't stay on top of all of that stuff. And so that's your function, is to act like that wing of their business that keeps them on top of everything in compliance and profitable.
Yeah, and just knowing that you make money when they make money. You know, you're collecting, let's say
Yeah.
for a particular doctor, you collect $100,000 in a month's time. You're going to bill that doctor a percentage of that money that you collected, right? Because that's
Mhm.
that's how you get paid. Uh, Normally, typically, what do you see that being out there in the field right now, Tim? What can licensees charge the doctors and and feel like it's a bargain for the doctor?
Well, average is somewhere in that 6 to 7% range. Um, those I see people charging more than that. I see, and of course, there's always going to be somebody that lowballs it, but quality really, with very low pricing, you get what you pay for in this business. It's so easy to be competitive at 6 or 7%, and if they're doing 150 grand a month, I mean, that's pretty simple math. You can make a pretty decent living out of that just with a handful of clients.
Didn't you say that you had a client recently that you were doing like $300,000 a month in billing?
Yeah, we have one client that is doing a month before last, he did $350,000, and this past month it was about 290. So, that's well into five figures at 7%. So,
Yeah.
it doesn't take many of those to make a pretty good living.
No, it doesn't. I'm going to take a look at the questions as we go along here. So, folks,
Sure.
if you haven't figured out yet that this is live and that you have the opportunity to actually talk to somebody who's actually been through the training, been through the support, knows what it's all about, this is the guy. This is the guy that actually runs his business based on what you're going to learn. Now, Eric, Tim, we haven't talked about this, but obviously, as we went along, we realized that you and Robin knew so much about the business and were helping so many other licensees with questions that would come up from time to time that we got you involved in the support. Can you tell people what it means to have a support team and, even the coaching? Maybe mention the
Sure, I'd be happy to.
coach.
Well, you need a little bit of background because about 2 years ago, we had built up such a big business that we got an offer from a national billing company to buy out our company. And we chose not to sell the company because we had developed another part of our business. We had started a call center. And so we were accepting incoming patient calls and that sort of thing, which was something we wouldn't have had the opportunity to do if we hadn't come through the ABS program. But it was not something that was a part of a technology that you guys had partnered with. So we started doing that, and it became pretty lucrative. And so we said, we don't want to sell our company. We'll sell you our book of business. And that was so lucrative that it allowed me to continue with the company. And then another interesting opportunity came around about a little over a year ago. I remember getting a phone call from you, and you said, we abruptly and unexpectedly have lost our director of support. Would you fill in for a week and let us figure out what we're going to do? And that was over a year ago, and you haven't fired me yet. Did you just forget to?
That's been on my desk here for some time, Tim. I just haven't got back to it.
And I
No.
found out that I really enjoyed helping licensees. I mean, I'd been doing some coaching along, but now, thanks to you, I've become your support guy. So I help new
Yeah.
licensees.
Well, yeah. I mean, we actually we made Tim an executive vice president of the company because we wanted somebody that was not only in charge of the support team, but of the training as well, because it all kind of ties together, right? When they go
Mhm.
through the initial training, that has to be something that matches everything on the back end that you and the support team support on the back end. So training and support is what he's in charge of now. And Tim, I think we do a terrific job. We've seen people go through our
I
training
think so too.
that, I mean, during this COVID thing, they've gotten clients, they've gotten out and done what we taught them to do, to contact the doctors, digitally and do some online social media marketing. And once they do that, they realize, hey, I could run this business and never leave the house if I didn't want to.
Right. And you know, I've always worked from home, even with my previous business and that sort of thing. And when the quarantine lockdown, we'd kind of started working from home, you know, at some point, and it just seemed like it made a lot of sense for everybody to be virtual.
Yeah.
And so, and I wanted to clear something up. I mean, you know, I told you the story about the doctor that was doing so much and that we were doing that. We don't have our own direct clients right now. We just have been doing some subcontracting work to help people out. So we don't have our own direct clients anymore. We did sell off our book of business, and it still remains that way.
You know, that's the great thing about this business, though, Tim. It really doesn't matter. You guys got into the call center stuff, which we didn't have any interest in at the time. So we don't provide that kind of technology and training. But you saw that as an opportunity. Doctors needed some help with that. And so you just set up your own call center. I think that's ingenious. And that's the great thing about this business is other licensees have done the same thing. They've gone off and added services that have nothing to do with our initial offerings as a company,
Oh
but
yeah.
man, they've been very successful at all the different things they've offered to doctors. And so you can branch out into anything you want to.
Absolutely. You know, and to drive home the point of the word of mouth, and it's all about not selling but positioning yourself so that people have trust in you, that sort of thing. That came from one of our consulting clients, and they were a large podiatry group up in the Northeast. And they said, you know, we're thinking about hiring some people to answer phones. Your group doesn't do that. And I said, we can learn. And that's how the whole thing came about. And they said, sure, we're willing to work with you to develop that. And so they've been thrilled, and we've been doing that with them for 5 years now. So,
Yeah, and in the slide that I have up now is all the different ancillary services that we've come
mhm.
up with for licensees that they can offer to doctors. You'll notice answering service is not one of those that we offer there through one of our brochures, but it's been very lucrative for you guys. So
You
why
know,
not?
and there are several of those things that you've got up there on the screen that, you know, any one of those you could form a business around. And then you have all of these. You can choose to use them as door opener for what you really want to be in there, which is medical billing, or you can just focus on something like Choice Pay. I mean, that's a merchant services, and that can be extremely lucrative.
Yeah, we've had licensees run with just the offering the merchant services to doctors. That's the running of their credit card, charges, and they're making a terrific living just off of that.
Right.
That's the door opener for them to get in and talk to doctors. And of course, once they're in there with one service that helps the doctor with money and cash flow, here's all the others they can
It's
offer.
always easier to sell to somebody that you're already doing business with.
Right,
So.
exactly. So here's a question from Bernadette. She says, let's talk about this for a second, Tim. How many employees do you have, or do you?
I do. We have one, two, three, four. We have four in the U.S. and we have six offshore.
Ah, okay. Like in India or the Philippines or?
We actually use the Philippines, but we have worked with people in India as well. And I hear there's a nearshore thing developing in Guatemala, but I haven't gone there yet. So
Near shore, huh?
we
Offshore.
yeah, we have some people that we've been working with for a number of years now, and we just have a small team. I like keeping that small, but it's it's just exactly what we need to provide some support services.
So explain to people if they don't want to mess with actual employees where they have to manage their taxes and keep those out of their check and so forth. What other options do people have that get into this business?
Well, you can use, you know, like for example, the people that we support just hire us on a contract basis, and that can either be a revenue share or an hourly rate. one of the things that we do that's really useful is that not everybody needs us, but there are some people say, "Hey, my path, I just want to do business development. That's all I really care about doing. I'm going to hire people anyway." So they can hire people to do that, and they can do the business development, or you can use a subcontractor like ourselves, or like any number of places that you can, and you fit the business to your strengths, and you learn to do the things that you want to do. But that's the beauty of this thing. The reason that I chose ABS personally was that I started looking at franchises. They're very rigid in the way that they were structured, and that's great for some people. But if you're a real entrepreneur, you want flexibility in what you can make your business your own.
Yeah.
And so that was something that really appealed to me. And we feel like that what we do for some people allows them to scale their business up and down because we don't require a contract or long-term contract. And then so if they wanted to plug something in and get the business going and say, okay, now I'm going to hire my full-time staff for that to replace it, that's how you can get your business going. It's kind of how we did it. I did the business development. Robin started that when we started growing. We hired some contractors and we scaled it, and then we started plugging in full-time employees as it made sense.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense because you grow as a business, you decide day by day, how big do I want to be and how
Right,
many headaches do I want, and I've always said that the more employees you have in a
right.
business, the more headaches you have because I had 72
Yep,
employees at one time. And I can tell you, it's a headache for every extra
it
employee you
is.
have. So,
Yeah, no question. And I think that if there's, anything like that, I mean, anybody that's ever been in management, you have to decide if that's what you want for the rest of your life. And Robin and I looked at it as that if we ever wanted it to just be the two of us, just the two of us, we can make a real nice living, with about 3 practices, and we'd be fine with that.
oh yeah, there's a six-figure income uh,
Easy.
for for a handful of clients, at least 3 or 4 to 5. Uh, Let me ask you this. Here, Trudy wants to know about your call center employees. It says, do they work from home?
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
We have a compliance plan in place so that they understand how they're supposed to handle themselves and that sort of thing. But yeah, everybody who is virtual, I can't imagine having a place to have to go to work every day, really. So
Yeah, we took this picture, as you know, Tim, out there in California. One of our
mhm,
support centers out there, of course, has employees that come in. They sit at computers all day. That's what they do because they're a part of our technology partners that are out there in California. But we also have people like yourself. You're in Alabama. We
I
have
am.
people in Florida. We have people in California. We have people all over the country that are working from their homes because, again, in today's world, doctors don't care where you're working from as long as you're doing the job that you're supposed to be doing, which is getting them every dime that's due them from the insurance companies and the medical.
They
Uh,
they just want results.
that's all
Yeah,
they want to see. Yeah.
yeah.
Um, okay, Rachel has an interesting question here. She says, can you share your best practices on creating your book of business? So
Well,
give people an idea as to how you built your business with the billing clients themselves. In other words, when you
sure.
had your own billing clients, or what you would teach licensees today. What's the best practice that we are teaching?
Well, uh, because of the way that the quarantine affected everybody, I mean, I still think that the best opportunity is built when you have a forum to speak in, and to develop yourself as an expert in the field. Anybody that has the ability to do research and really understand and that was my point, is that I tried to understand all of the pain points, the problems that practices are actually experiencing with the current climate. And so when I figured out what they were all complaining about, and I did that partially by hanging out in social media places and seeing what they're complaining about. And if you do that and say, oh, okay, I can come up with a solution to address that, then you get yourself in a bully pulpit, so to say, and you get an opportunity to speak to them and say, hey, you might find that this is useful to solve your problem. And I wasn't. I got more traction by offering to do free work for people. By just saying, you don't understand your reports. You think that your reporting system. Let me help you work out the reports that you need. And they've developed a confidence in me, and that's what it is just developing your persona to appear as an expert in a particular field. And it doesn't seem to really matter what field, but as long as it's something that interests them and focuses on them, and their issues and finding a solution for that. So when I first started, I joined a networking group. I spent 2 months in the networking group, and before I knew it, I had a referral to a physician. We developed a relationship. That became our first client. The second one came from a referral from that doctor. And then I did a favor for the people that eventually became our call center clients. And there was a practice management consultant that had said, hey, their reports are messed up. Can you help out with this? I did. I didn't charge them anything for it. And we've made thousands and thousands of dollars every year from them ever since. The practice management consultant was putting together statewide conferences for podiatry organizations. So the Texas State Podiatry Association, Oklahoma, Georgia, Pennsylvania. I spoke at a bunch of them. And she said, I'm not going to pay you. You'll have to pay all your own expenses, but we'll give you a free booth to display in, and you get to talk to the doctors and the practice managers. And everywhere I went, I would wind up with 4 or 5 new clients. And that's what it takes, is just the ability to get a forum where you can help people to achieve their level of success they're looking for. And that's all it was to it. I didn't really go out and sell anything.
Right. Good. Now, Trudy also says, Tim, you may have answered this already, but with the outcome of the election, how would that affect our business in any way? Now, we don't want to get into politics, of course. We're right here in the middle of deciding who really won the election last night. But just kind of give us a feel for how you feel would happen if the Democrats got into office, if the Republicans stay in office. Does it matter in this particular industry?
It doesn't matter. In my opinion, it doesn't matter because people are going to have ailments no matter who's in office, and somebody's got to process those claims. And that our business is more insulated from economic pressures, political pressures, anything that I can imagine. And when you start thinking about, I've heard people say, if Joe Biden's elected, he's going to shut down the entire country. Well, guess what? I don't have to wear a mask at home. I can work from here. It's not going to change what I do on a daily basis regardless. And everybody that's in this line of work, whether we've got a pandemic or not, is still going to be able to process billing claims. That's not going to stop.
It better not. The doctors will be in real trouble there because that's their cash flow, right?
That's right.
I've even had licensees tell me in interviews that they've actually met with doctors on a Saturday. They just have them come in. There's no patients there. And, if they want to wear masks and keep socially distanced, they can still have a face-to-face meeting if they wanted to with a doctor. But I think doctors are so used now to doing telemedicine and using things like we're using here today that you can visit virtually with anybody.
It's become huge.
Yeah.
Let me put it to you this way. When we're talking about, it doesn't really matter who won the election and how they're going to change healthcare. The more difficult healthcare becomes, the more difficult it becomes to get paid by an insurance company, the more attractive our business is, the more attractive our business model is to physicians. It's only going to get more challenging for them. And because of that, I think that that's the best place to be in any space that I can think of.
Yeah, people have even asked me, well, what if, there are certain people in government who would like to see all of the pay come from the government. In other words, let's have a single payer. Let's let the government pay for everything and forget about insurance companies and so forth. I don't see that happening in the United States because the insurance companies have a lot of power and wealth and so forth here. But
Well, they're all talking about Medicare for all. And I mean, we still submit claims to Medicare, and somebody's got to do that. So,
sure, that's the way I look at it, is whether it's to a government agency or to a private insurance company, somebody has to be focused on that aspect of the doctor's practice. That is, collecting the money that's due to them
that's
for
right.
the visits they've already had with patients. And they can, again, invest in their own staff to do that and their own software and keep up with all that stuff if they want to. But it's just much easier for doctors to outsource that nowadays to someone like yourself, Tim, that can just handle that for them. And they can just basically forget all their worries about collecting money. And that's just done for them. You have
Mhm.
a vested interest because you make a percentage of every dollar you collect for them, of course.
That's right.
And that is something Rachel just asked here, which I think we kind of touched on this, but she says, what is the normal charge or percentage that we can charge the doctors for every claim? And you mentioned earlier,
Yeah,
6
between
to
6 and
7%.
7%. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, when we were doing that, our going rate was 7%.
I hear that real common. I have heard licensees charging more and some less, depending on whether they thought that they wanted the business that bad. It's your business, so you can
Right.
negotiate that any way you want to. But
And super high volume practices, when they're doing $500,000 a month, and that does happen. I mean, it's not unusual to run across one that's between $300,000 and $500,000 a month worth of revenue. Um, you may want to come in at a lower rate than that to entice them, that sort of thing. And it's not uncommon to lower a rate when the volume is extremely high, especially if they have a high per claim dollar, then it makes a lot more sense.
yeah, oh, of course. 7% of a surgery that's $20,000. That's a pretty good percentage for
Right.
doing that claim, because it takes about the same amount of time for that claim as it would for just a runny nose.
That's right.
Uh, hey, I'm just going to call out some people here because we got a lot of folks on this webinar here today, and very few questions have come in. I don't think people think this is live, Tim. So let's say Armando, I see you. Yes, Bernadette, Desmond, Juliet, Laurie, Mahet, Michelle. Let's see, Romeo. Romeo did put a little note in here. He says, hi, Tim. My name is Romeo from South Africa. I've got great respect for the work you've done, particularly in your medical billing business. Isn't that nice?
Yes, it is.
Yeah. And there's Shelly, and of course, we've heard from Trudy. Victor, folks, this is your chance to ask a question to somebody who's actually been through our training and been through the whole process of starting their business. So we're running out of time here. You'll see everybody starts asking questions the last 5 minutes, but we're at 4:42 here Central Time. So we'll just continue asking the questions that do pop up here. And Tim, let me ask you this. This is one question that a lot of people ask, of course, and that is day to day, how much time does it take to actually do a medical claim for a doctor, just one claim?
Well, of course it varies, but let's just take an example. If you were working for a primary care physician and all they were charging for was an office visit, you could probably do 10 of those in 10 minutes. It's just that easy.
Yeah.
If you're doing something that's extremely complex, it'll take longer. But I mean, it's just a matter of burning through them. An average practice is going to see somewhere between 20 and 50 patients a day. And for the most part, you can do something like that in matter of a couple hours a day, you know.
And people
Start.
find that hard to believe, but
I know.
we really do have people that are making,
Yeah.
you know, $80, $90 an hour doing this work from their home. It's kind
And
of a
more.
secret. What's that?
And more.
And more, yeah. It's
Mm.
kind of like a secret business, isn't it? When my wife and I were doing this, Tim, we actually had some of our relatives seeing us buying new cars and new home and, you know, lots of things going on in our life, and we never left the house. So they were asking us, what is it that you actually do? What kind of drugs are you selling out there on
That's
the
right.
street?
That's what my dad would have said. What kind of drugs are you selling?
Yeah. Now, I put this slide up earlier. I think I'm going to stick it up there again. Let me see if I can find it now. How do I do this? This is the one that shows our ongoing training, some of the webinars that we've done. And so let me stick that up there so everybody can see this. Tim, let's talk about this because you are being in charge, of course, of support and training. You actually help develop some of these webinars on the back end as well. This is an ongoing thing for licensees, and we don't charge anything for our licensees once they've paid our initial licensing fee, kind of like a franchise fee, I guess you'd call it. Once they've done that, it's their business, and they have full access to all of this training, don't they?
Yes, they do. And all of that primarily is going to be found on our licensee support website. And I think it's a great repository of information. It's a great way to learn, but the other thing is that we have both email and phone support at ABS now, and we've gotten a really good ticketing system in place. We're able to respond very quickly. We have the capability of doing screen shares, so if anybody's struggling with something, then we can get on a meeting like this with them and guide them through things. So.
Yeah, it's pretty.
I wanted to comment on one thing, Patrick, just real quick, because I mean, when I came through training in 2012, we had a classroom setting, and I think there were about 20 to 25 people in there, if I'm not mistaken, and it was great training. But now I think that the online training directly one-to-one with Cynthia is spectacular. You really get, I mean, it's a lot of information. But going through the modules like they do, I think that is a really great opportunity to get a one-to-one experience with a trainer. And, you know, after you come out of that, having a one-to-one experience with the sport department, I think that we've developed a really good way of handling new licensees coming in. And I think it's actually superior to the old classroom setting.
Oh,
I miss
think
everybody,
people,
but
I think people love it because they know that they can ask all the questions they want since it's a live, a one-on-one session each time they connect with our instructors. This is one of them here. Cynthia is our lead instructor. So Tim mentioned that she does a lot of this. And we do it based on people's schedule. So you schedule it basically with the instructor around your schedule, whatever fits your schedule.
Instructors have been so flexible at working with people's schedules. It's amazing.
Yeah. All right, here's some great questions coming in now. I told you they'd all come in here in the last 10 minutes.
Sure.
Rachel says, and ABS has its own clearinghouse, which is included in the package, question mark?
Yes, they don't have to pay for it separately. That's the tightly integrated clearinghouse medical record software and practice management software. That's one of the real special sauces to what you have to offer there. It really makes for a tight workflow that is beneficial to the practices. Makes it a lot easier on the biller too.
Yeah, this slide is kind of illustrating that, folks. That's our software that you see there on the screen that you can actually do the billing with. But we've put in there a little graphic of a clearinghouse. See that building in the middle? That's not really there on the software, but it's to illustrate that we don't have to go through a third party. With most software that's out there for doing billing for doctors, you got to set up your own clearinghouse. Well, there's about a dozen of them out there. Which one's the best one? You know, which one's going to give you the best service for the right price, et cetera, et cetera. We've already figured all that out and built that into our system. We're the only system that I know of, Tim, that's cloud-based that has that clearinghouse built in. And of course, the clearinghouse function is very important because they usually as a third party. They're examining your claim, they're scrubbing it. That is, they're making sure that there's no obvious errors so that the rejection rate goes way down. Well, ours is like, less than 2% at this point. So we've got it down as far as you could possibly get it. I don't know of any other clearinghouse that has that kind of rejection rate. Most of them are still 20 or 30% rejection. So, yeah. So Rachel, that's a good point. The clearinghouse is very important that you have that built in. Juliet says, does the program tell you how many other ABS businesses are in an area? Tim, why don't you address that fear that Juliet is expressing there?
Yeah, you know my answer to this one because I've told you this before. I know why you're asking this question, because I asked the exact same thing, because I thought, oh, I'm going to have too much competition. They've got too many people close to me. And there were about 6 within a 100-mile radius of me. And to this day, I've never run into one of them face to face. And the thing is that we're not in competition with one another. You're going to find that it's kind of like a family. I was really concerned about that, thinking that I was going to be competing with them. It's not. It was just unfounded for me to be concerned about that. You're really competing with yourself, just making sure that you're doing everything, delivering a high quality product. I cannot imagine a day, from what I've seen over the last 8-9 years, where we're ever going to collectively all get to all the business that's out here. And so it's like so segmented that another ABS licensee is not going to get in your way.
Yeah,
that's my opinion.
That's what I hear from licensees all over the country, is that I thought that, I would be competing, and when actually I'm a part of a network of people that actually support one another. We have a Facebook group now that they can join, and they can actually interact with other licensees. So they become partners in business, really, more than anything else.
Yeah, the Facebook group, everybody's really supportive of one another. Whether you're a Facebook person or not, it's been a really good community.
Yeah, it's a closed private group that we set up that only our licensees can be a part of. So you're actually dealing with other people who've gone through the same training that you have. They use the same software that you're using, and they're facing the same challenges that you're facing. So great place to interact with people. Rachel says, is the company going to help with creating proposals?
Yes.
Is that included in the module?
Yeah, that's part of what I do every day, is help people to analyze the practice analysis tool. I help everybody to develop their proposals and their service contracts, that sort of thing. That's what we have. 3 people in the support group, and that's part of our daily routine, is to help with that sort of thing.
Yep. Yeah, proposals are very important, that you know exactly how to do those right, so that the doctor gets a great picture of what benefits there are. We've got all that worked out. We have templates that we just use to basically get you started on one of those. We can help you develop one that looks good and sounds good to a doctor. Yeah, so that's all a part of our ongoing support after you become a licensee. Shelly says, what is the franchise fee? I'm sorry, Shelly, I didn't even mention that. Sometimes on these webinars, I get carried away. This is something you would find on our website, by the way, under one of the tabs at the top there, like what is the investment. It's $28,000 basically, $27,990 to be exact, and that covers all of the training, all of the support, ongoing training after the initial modules, and of course all the materials that we've already developed, including our books and flyers and postcards and things that are already ready for you to instantly go out and market with, plus access to that licensee website that we were showing earlier. So that's all included in that. How soon can you start training? Shelly's asking. Shelly, that depends on you. You tell us when you're available. We get with your instructor, let you work with them directly, and usually people can get started within 48 to, what did you say, Tim? 48 to 72 hours, something like that.
Exactly, and it's mostly just working with the new business owners' schedule, whatever works for their schedule. Some people are still working full-time jobs when they're doing their training and that sort of thing. So just working around all that. is what takes the most time. And so it's kind of up to you. If you have plenty of time on your hands, most likely you can get started right away.
Yeah, Armando's asking how long does it take to finish the course? Well, Armando, that depends on you again and the instructor, how quickly you want to go through it. Now, we've had people get through this course. Tim, I think we've had people get through it in 2 weeks' time.
2 weeks, yeah. 2 weeks
Normally,
is like the fastest that I would recommend doing it, because you really need to soak in. There's a little bit of homework to it. There are some exercises. There are some steps that you have to complete along the way. 2 weeks is probably a really good timeline.
yeah, and Armando, we do that on purpose so you can get through it as quickly as you want to, because as I'll mention here in just a second, we've got a few minutes left. I'm going to talk about our money back guarantee. And so that's why we encourage people to get through that within the first 30 days. You have 30 days from the time you actually sign the agreement with us and send us your funds, that we actually have a money back guarantee. You get 100% of your money back if in those 30 days you decide this is not for you for any reason. Okay, so let's see. Oh, wow. So it all depends on you. Great. That's Shelley saying that. And then Rachel says the support, technical support is good for how long? Tim, how long is our
Lifetime.
support? It's lifetime.
Lifetime.
Right. That's until
And
Tim,
I think that
kicks the bucket.
yep. I'm not the only one. So, so the thing to me that I couldn't understand how anybody without a residual fee could afford to offer lifetime support. And Patrick, would you like to explain that to them, how we can afford to do that?
Yes, that's a great point, because a lot of people wonder, well, what is it? You get an initial fee and then there's nothing else. No, folks, this is it's not like a franchise, so you don't have any ongoing residual fees, royalties, or something like that that you pay to us as a company. In fact, our entire company income is based on not just the initial fees that people pay us, what we call the licensing fee, or kind of like a franchise fee, but it's on these residual other services that you can offer, these ancillary services that you can offer to doctors. We make money on all of these services. These are things that you make money on. You charge money to the doctor. We make a few pennies on each one of those. And so on the back end, we have residual income for the company as well. And that
Which
takes
doesn't
care
come out of the business owner's pocket. It comes out of these partners' pockets, and that way all of that money goes to fund the long-term support of all the licensees.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It's basically not coming out of your pocket as a business owner, as one of our licensees, because there is nothing you pay to ABS after that initial fee ever, for user supports, for upgrades on the software, nothing. People find that hard to believe, Tim, but I just set up the company that way because I wanted them to not feel like they were nickel and dime to death, you know.
Oh, it was absolutely brilliant. It's a great business model. So it's been very beneficial for me because I got the benefit of being supported, and now I can return the favor. And you've been kind enough to put me in a position where I can help licensees.
Well, Tim, it's been a pleasure, an honor today to be able to speak with you about all this. I think people get a better feel for what our support is going to be like with you basically as the vice president of the support department. Of course, all the people that people go through have to go through you, and you are the one that's coordinating everything with everybody. So a good person to know, folks, is Tim Warren. So Tim, thank you again for your time today. Anything you want to say
My
here
honor.
as we wrap up?
No, anybody that comes through the training and that sort of thing, as soon as training's over, they get turned over to me for a welcome to support call. And what we do at that point in time, we go down through the checklist. And so during that call, we try to make sure that you know everything that's available to you, everything that to make you the most accessible that you can possibly be right out of the gate. So we throw as much resource at you until that first client as we possibly can, and then we try to support you as you're needed. One of the funny things is that when people first start into the ABS program, for the first couple of clients, I hear from them all the time, but after they've gotten past the first two, I seldom hear from anybody. Because you develop a confidence in your work methods. It's not that it gets harder, it gets a lot easier. And, people can handle it by themselves going forward. So, so if you ever feel like calling me back after you've had 10 clients, then feel free to call back. So,
Yeah. Tim, I don't know that we've offered this or if you want to, but assuming that people on this webinar today that would like to just speak with you one-on-one, can we set that up through the reps and let them give a direct number that they could reach you at?
sure.
Okay. So folks, this is your chance. If you want to talk to Tim about any of this, his experience, going through our training, learning about our company, anything that you wanted to ask him on a one-on-one basis, you're welcome to do that. Tim, thanks again. I don't see any more questions here, so I'm going to kind of wrap it up here talking with folks about our guarantee.
You're a good man. I'm going to excuse myself and enjoy yourself, Patrick.
Thank you, Tim.
Thanks, everybody.
Folks, there's not many companies I know that offer a money-back guarantee on a kind of a nebulous thing like a business opportunity or a franchise. That's unheard of in our industry. I've talked to people in my industry and they've said, nobody does that, Patrick. Why do you do that? And I go, well, it's just the way I would want business done with me. If I have the opportunity to join a company and see what they've got, what if I go through the training and then I don't like what I see? And so I wanted the opportunity to be able to tell people, look, if you want to, you can go through our training, take 30 days to learn everything you can about our business, all the proprietary information we share during those 12 to 15 hours of training, initial training. Learn everything you want to about our business, and then if for some reason you don't like what you see, just ask for your money back. I think that's the best way to deal with people in today's world, and it's the fair way to do it. And yes, it happens. People do ask for their money back from time to time. It's less than 0.5%, if you're wondering. So we don't have a lot of people asking, but at least it's there for your benefit, for you to feel safe and confident in investing in something like this. I know it's scary investing in something over the internet with people that you don't know, but we'll give you plenty of resources to check us out if you want to make sure that we're for real. And one of the things you can get, by the way, is our Medical Revenue Management Research Guide. This is a 50-page document that's basically a PDF that you won't find on our website. That's because you have to ask the representative who invited you to this webinar to get a copy of this. We only want people who are serious about the business, getting into behind the scenes on this in-depth stuff that's in this research guide. So be sure and ask for that. That is the very first step, by the way, to your success, is to be sure to get a copy of that. And there's the phone number, by the way, right there on the screen. If you want to call us right now and say, hey, I'm not sure who my ABS rep is, can you make sure that I get that research guide? We'll make sure that you get that. There's somebody there ready to take your phone call right now, live. Also, be sure and browse our YouTube channel. There it is right there on the screen, youtube.com/YABS. And once you have signed up for that, you'll see that you basically will see all the interviews that I've done over the years with people who've been successful in going through our training. Then ask your ABS rep for a current owner reference list. Just like Tim is one of our current owners, or licensees, we refer to them as here in our office. These people are glad to give us a reference and talk to you one-on-one. So we'll give you a name, address, zip codes, email addresses, and contact information for those people. Just ask for that from your representative as well. And be sure and ask for a live demo of our iClaim EMRX platform. Our software doesn't come on a CD, so we can't send anything in the mail to you. Excuse me, but we can do a live demo with you one-on-one, unless you ask all the questions you want about our software. Then review the purchase agreement and the funding instructions, and of course, get scheduled for your first training class. Those trainings, folks, are very limited. I can tell you right now that at the end of the year like this, they fill up very quickly because people are wanting to get their business started and off and running by the first of the year. To do that, they're going through the training right now, here towards the end of the year. Well, let's see if I answered all the questions now. I think I'm at the end of the webinar here, so I'm going to leave this screen on here, folks. By the way, we do these webinars every Wednesday. If you go back to our website, absystems.com, you can just click up at the top where it says something about webinars and sign up for next week's webinar. We do these at 4 o'clock Central Time every week on Wednesdays. So be sure and sign up for next week's as well. Okay, I don't think I see any more questions. Let me open that up one more time here just to be sure. Here's one right here that I can't read. Let me zoom in here. Romeo says, hi, Patrick, regarding the books that you've written, do you have an option to distribute? Romeo, I think what you're asking about is the book that I mentioned earlier, that you'll be able to put your name right on the front cover as having written the foreword to the book. Now, we've already got a foreword that you can put your name at the end of it if you want to, or you can write one on your own as long as we have the rights to edit it and make sure it's accurate in what it says. We've had licensees do that, and you can write your own. So in any case, yes, we give you the option to distribute that. We give you 15 copies of those books, 3 different books, when you first join us, and then you can reorder those as you need to at our printing cost, by the way, which is only about $4 for that paperback copy of that book. Okay, well, guys, thanks for being a part of our webinar today. I appreciate your questions today. I hope we've answered some of your questions from the standpoint of somebody who's actually been through the research and the due diligence that you're doing right now on our business. We know this business is not for everybody, but for those of you that feel like it's something that you want to do, we want to answer all your questions and get you all the information you need to make a smart decision. So thanks again for being on here. I hope I see you next week, or I hope I see you actually join us for our training classes, and I'll be giving you a call when you do that as well. So thanks again. Bye for now.